Folks, my name is Wrighteous, Reverend Wrighteous, the righteous, self-righteous, right on, and revered Reverend Jeremiah Wrighteous. And I am here to warn you of another US of A, CIA, governmental plot tearing at the very heart, soul, and fabrication of our society. Now, if you recall, it was I, your humble servant, Reverend Jeremiah, who first warned you that the US of A CIA government had deliberately invented the HIV/AIDS virus and then genetically manipulated it just to attack people it didn't like. People of color, gay people, whosoever, whatsoever. Now you might say, well, who is this crackpot getting up here spouting out all this bad will and ill will and shoot at will, who's will and whatever? But folks, I am a man of science. You see, I understand all about genetic engineering. I understand about transcription factor receptor sites, genetic enhancement regions, tyrosine kinases, mRNA, protein translation, procreation, recreation, whatever have you. I understand all these things. So you see, folks, I speak with the authority of science. Now, I understand the very mind of these viruses. I understand how they think. So when they run into someone they've been programmed not to like, a person of color, God forbid a gay person of color, they go, ho ho, ho 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 ho, what have we here? Brother, we are going to mess you up. I mean, we really are going to bust you up. But should they run into someone who's politically correct, say, Lynn Cheney, Dick Cheney's daughter, someone like that, they go, this be good people. This be good people. Leave her alone. Leave her alone. So you see, folks, we live in wonderful times. Wonderful, wonderful times. Not only do we have racist people, now we have racist viruses. Racist, homophobic viruses. These are wonderful times, folks. Now, of course, I can't quite explain why it is that self-same aforementioned US of A government just spent $15 billion fighting AIDS in Africa, just to prove another $45 billion. But you know, folks, I don't want to get too bogged down in particulars. I don't want to lose the flow of the argument. Now, another one of my brilliant insights, you might say, to further establish my bona fides, is it was I, your humble servant, who first warned you that the US of A government was deliberately buying and selling drugs in the inner cities just to get those people addicted. Of course, I'm not sure about those people in the outer cities with their methamphetamine and the hillbilly heroin. Maybe that's the Canadian government, the Mexican government. They couldn't possibly be doing it to themselves, could they? Now you might say, well, Reverend Wrighteous, why would that US of A government want to have people running around killing and stealing and in gangs and murdering and costing $50,000 a year just to pay to keep their sorry asses in prison, rather than having those people work and paying taxes to that US of A government? But you know, folks, once again, I don't want to get too bogged down in particulars. I don't know, maybe the people in government like watching those prisoner shows or something. I'm not sure. Regardless, folks, now that I've established my bona fides, I would like to move on to the main thrust, the main thesis of this sermon. And the saddest story of all. Folks, all over this country, more and more young women, unmarried, many teenagers, many of them 12, 13, 14 years old, are having children. Children that they cannot possibly provide for. Often the daddies are just walking away. And who do you suppose is stepping into the breach to pay for all this? Why, it's our old friend, the U.S. of A. government. Net result, 40%, almost 40% of the children being born in this country right now, folks, are being born in these circumstances. It is approaching 75% in many areas of the inner cities all across our country. In fact, the other day, ran into an old friend of mine who now runs Medicaid. He was telling me that 50% of the children being born in this country are being born on medical assistance. That's the government's medical welfare program. It means they can't afford to pay for the pregnancy, let alone bringing up the children. You get the honor. Now you might say, well, so what? What does this matter? It's just a lifestyle choice. I tell you why it matters, folks. It is the #1 cause of poverty in this country. If you will allow me, I would like to quote from my old friend, Mr. Barack Obama. Do you know, oh my gosh, after 20 years, he says he no longer loves me. 20 years, can you believe it? Can you believe it? But to quote from the man, if a child born in these circumstances is 5 times more likely to end up in poverty, 9 times more likely to end up not finishing high school, and 20 times more likely to end up in trouble with the law. 5 times more likely to end up in poverty. Do you know that there are multiple studies showing that a child of color brought up by a 2-parent family is going to do better than a child of non-color, that'd be like me, brought up by a teenage parent? Now name all the other problems. Child abuse, child neglect. Folks, I've seen with my own eyes babies born addicted to drugs, babies born with the HIV virus. Folks, these things ought not to be. We've all probably seen children, young children, just tossed around from one place to another till it breaks your heart. And again, what's our friend the government doing about it? Instead of trying to solve the problem, they're making it worse. They're enabling it. They're bankrolling it. They go, oh, teenager, don't get pregnant. But of course, if you do, here's some of this free money stuff. No, you don't have to work for it. You don't have to do any community service. No. And teenager, here's some of this WIC stuff and some of this free food stand stuff. No, you don't have to do any community service for it. No. And here, teenager, here's some medical assistance. Here's some housing assistance. Here's your free energy check. No, you don't have to work for it. You see, folks, these are wonderful, wonderful times once again. Wonderful times. Every teenager in America can have all the children they want, produce all the children they want, and you are entitled to pay for it. I guess that's what they mean by entitlement programs. But you know, folks, what troubles me even the most about all of this is these daddies.